Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a 12-team draft over on Underdog Fantasy. We're going to be doing a little board draft today. It is only $3 to enter, $10,000 to first place. This is going to be a very early 2023 fantasy football draft. Now, doing mock drafts right now in February, the ADP isn't going to be adjusted, right? It's going to be very hard to do a mock draft, so we're going to actually do a real draft here on Underdog Fantasy. This one is 20 rounds, so it is a little bit longer than your normal fantasy football draft. If you guys want to do one of these on Underdog Fantasy, you can sign up using the link in the video description. So we're going to get on into things here. If you do end up enjoying today's video, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, as well as hitting that like button. It would help me out a ton. We're going to be doing a bunch of 2023 fantasy football content all the way up until your fantasy football draft, and then once the NFL season starts yet again, we'll be back making more content every single day. I really do appreciate all of you guys. I hope everyone had a great Super Bowl. This should fill relatively quickly, so I'm just going to give real quick my thoughts on the Super Bowl. I thought that was one of the most interesting Super Bowls that we have seen in at least the last decade. I really do think that the Chiefs deserve to win that game, but Jalen Hurts literally played out of his mind. I honestly think that you can almost make the argument that Jalen Hurts deserved to be the MVP of that game with how good he played. I know he had that fumble, but ultimately that game was lights out from him. It did kind of suck that there were a lot of players sliding on defense because of the grass that they played on. You'd think, hey, in the Super Bowl, they're going to be playing with the best possible grass. I mean, it took them 2 years. For 2 years, they made that field, and people were still slipping all over the place. But I thought it was an incredibly fun game to watch. I bet on the Chiefs. The Chiefs won, so I was pretty happy. Obviously, as a Dolphins fan, even though I won some money on the game, I wasn't going crazy, super excited. But Patrick Mahomes had a really good game as well. Even though he didn't throw the most amount of yards, he was just throwing dots left and right, and it's just crazy how good of a head coach Andy Reid truly is, because he was scheming guys wide open for the Chiefs. There was a touchdown, the Kadarius Toney touchdown. I believe it was called Corn Dog. He threw the ball to him, and there was no one even in the same stratosphere as Kadarius Toney, so it was a very fun game to watch. I'm going to slide myself a little bit more into the middle here, so I'm not blocking my team. So looking here, we are going to be picking at the number 11 pick in this draft. So that's typically where I like picking in fantasy football. If you guys have been following me for a while, you would know that I'm someone who has been advocating to being a later pick in fantasy football drafts. I just think it's very good, in my opinion, to get those guys, right? I get pick 11, and now I get to go right up again at pick number 14, right? I get to pick my guys. I don't have to sit there at 6, pick a guy, shove my thumb up my ass, wait 10 minutes, pick again. If you know what I'm saying, that's just kind of my preferred draft slot. But obviously right now, things are very open. The ADP isn't necessarily set in stone, right? It's only February. There are even rookies in this draft. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that I am some genius guru when it comes to college football players coming into the NFL draft, because I haven't done a crazy amount of research on these players just yet. But if you are someone who knows a lot about these rookies, this is the time to jump in, because there are going to be a lot of casuals drafted right now who don't know too much about that. But it's not like you need the most knowledge about every single rookie to figure out what you want to do in a draft this early on. So coming at the 11th overall pick right here, we're looking at a guy like Jonathan Taylor, A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb. Now, it's very funny because I think Jonathan Taylor, in a lot of casual leagues, your league with your office mates, your league with your friends, there are going to be people that are going to be hell bent on, there is no way that I'm drafting Jonathan Taylor. There's going to be people that say drafting Jonathan Taylor is terrible. I drafted him number 1 last year. He sucked, blah, 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 blah. Ultimately, this team is going to look a lot different in 2023, so I'm not really panicking on Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, if you drafted him first overall last year, you are going to feel somewhat burnt by that decision, but I don't think that's something that should really impact your thought process this season. If you were last year looking at Christian McCaffrey and were like, oh man, Christian McCaffrey injured, this, that, the other thing. You didn't draft him. You probably felt like a bit of an idiot. So 101, Justin Jefferson, followed by Christian McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, and Devontae Adams. Something you are going to notice this fantasy football season is that people are going to be more and more likely to draft more wide receivers in the first round. Now, in a more casual league, people love running backs, right? They love those workhorse guys, but I think in a lot of more sharper leagues, there's going to be a ass load of wide receivers selected in the first round compared to prior seasons, because normally we see 3-4 receivers at most in the first round. I think this year might see 6 or 7, even in some casual leagues. Kelsey coming off the board, followed by Stephon Diggs. I mean, at this point, you can't really make any argument. Travis Kelsey is the best tight end in fantasy football. He's the best tight end in the NFL. And if he keeps doing what he's doing right now for the next 3 years, he might end up going down as the best tight end to ever grace the National Football League. After Kelsey comes Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, and Austin Eckler. So looking at this spot, it's pretty interesting in best ball drafts, because once we draft this team, we never have to edit the lineup. It's just going to go ahead and put in our best lineup every single week. So we don't necessarily... In this kind of a draft, I am more likely to draft a quarterback early because I want to go ahead and get a guy that I can stack up with my wide receivers. Whereas in, a regular fantasy football draft, a normal redraft league, I think it would be a little bit crazy to draft a quarterback this early. So first, we are going to go ahead and get a running back that I really like. I'm going to go ahead and snag Bijan Robinson. This guy looks like he could easily be a first-round pick in fantasy football this year. He looked amazing in college. He looks like a generational prospect. Obviously, we have no idea what team this guy's going to go to, right? We have no fucking idea. But if he lands in a good spot, this guy might end up being a top 5, top 6 pick come August. So we're going to go ahead and get that kind of discount that we got right now. So there are going to be a lot of wide receivers going early. But honestly, if we can get a running back here that I like, I would be fine with that. Jonathan Taylor's still available. CeeDee Lamb, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. I love Jalen Hurts. I'm just going to keep it a buck with you. I know they lost their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator, but if I'm being honest with you, I really think Jalen Hurts could even be a second-round pick in redraft leagues. So I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts. I don't really see him falling off. There's a chance that he gets even better than he was last year. I'm a huge fan of Jalen Hurts. Now, again, I will continue to kind of put my position strongly here and continue to talk about it. In normal redraft leagues, I am not taking Jalen Hurts here at the 2.2. I'm waiting at the quarterback position, but in these kind of best ball drafts, I do think it is advantageous to get a guy like Mr. Jalen Hurts early. So we're going to go ahead and kind of pin some Philadelphia guys that I like. Obviously, A.J. Brown already went, but Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders up in the air if he'll even be back for the team next season. But I do think that going ahead and starring those guys is important. Now, stacking in best ball, much more important than in redraft leagues. In your normal redraft league, I don't think you necessarily have to stack your quarterback with your wide receiver to win. Don't think that's the case, but I do think in DFS, in best ball like this, that is your best strategy. So looking back here, after Patrick Mahomes went at the 12, Saquon Barkley went with Hurts, Jalen Waddle, Josh Allen, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kenneth Walker, Garrett Wilson. I think that might be a little early for Garrett Wilson, but it really just depends on who the quarterback is going to be. I'll actually move this down a little bit so you guys can... Is there no way? No, there's no way. But I do think that depending on who the quarterback is, Garrett Wilson could be like a third-round pick. I think the second-round pick's a little too juicy, right? I love Amon-Ra. I love CeeDee Lamb. I love Waddle. I don't know if I necessarily want to throw Garrett Wilson in that same range. I definitely do think that Kenneth Walker over Jonathan Taylor is a little bit of an overreaction. I do think that Kenneth Walker is an amazing player. I think Kenneth Walker had a great fucking rookie season, and he's going to be the workhorse running back on the team. But am I really going to take that over a guy like Jonathan Taylor? I don't think so. After JT came Titty Boy T. Higgins, Derrick Henry. Let's be honest, Derrick Henry is going to go at discount every single year. Every single year, come August, I do some type of mental gymnastics where I talk myself out of Derrick Henry. Now, when I talk myself out of Derrick Henry, I always state that I just don't think Derrick Henry is worth a pick at this certain price, which is typically in the middle towards the end of the first round. I say, you know what, I like the other players going around him better, and then I always end up basically looking like a fucking fool with my pants on the ground around, hat turned sideways, like that guy on American Idol. I look like an idiot. I look like a buffoon because Derrick Henry always ends up being amazing, but I don't know. It's just feels hard to know right now, like, who's their quarterback going to be. I don't think it's going to be Ryan Tannehill, so we'll see what ends up happening in the NFL draft. That's why drafting so early is interesting, because maybe they end up getting some quarterback that goes there, and bam, Derek Carr's there, and bam, now Derrick Henry is unleashed. We shall see. DK Metcalf, TJ Hawkinson, Mark Andrews, Breece Hall. Breece Hall in the third round is highway robbery. Now, I know people are going to say, Nick, he's coming back off the injury, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, this guy, imagine if a quarterback shows up there. Now, we're in modern medicine. This isn't the fucking 1970s, the 1980s, right? Breece Hall is going to be good to go for the start of the season. Breece Hall might be one of the best running backs in the NFL. So in the third round, my mouth would be salivating to select a guy like Joe Burrow. And when it comes back to talking about draft strategy and matching a wide receiver with a quarterback in best ball, I think you can make a good argument that when it comes to Jalen Hurts, you don't necessarily need to have some crazy stacks to win with him, because Jalen Hurts gets so much of his money. He makes that bread in fantasy football. He scores those points because of the rushing upside, right? We saw it in the Super Bowl. We've seen it all season long. I'm very excited for Jalen Hurts next season. I think Bijan Robinson, again, was a steal at pick number 11. Josh Jacobs is really interesting this year. We have no idea what team he is going to be on. No idea what team he is going to be on in 2023. It could be the Raiders again. Could be on a different team. But he proved me wrong last year. I did kind of talk up Josh Jacobs as a player. Like I said, I like Josh Jacobs, the player. I just hated the situation. But the situation turned out to be amazing because they didn't end up going with the running back by committee like I previously thought. Which obviously, looking back, sucks, but McDaniels was the head coach. We've seen McDaniels, offensive coordinator in New England, running back by committee, running back by committee, running back by committee. So I won't necessarily call myself a fucking idiot for fading him. Oh man. We don't have a receiver yet, but these running backs are looking quite juicy. We're not just talking about Lamar Jackson. Yeah, I already drafted Jalen Hurts, so there's no way I'm drafting another quarterback. D-Hop could be interesting. Depends what team he goes to. Lamar Jackson, we're up here. Dude, taking Calvin Ridley in the third round seems fucking absurd, but this guy is so good. Let's just go running back, man. Load him up early. Running backs early. Normally, I think this year I'm going to be much more in the camp of going wide receiver early, but I just don't feel like Amari Cooper's worth a third-round pick, if I'm being honest with you. Jacobs, Chubb, Stevenson. You can make the argument for any of these guys, honestly. Stevenson should be great again in New England. They obviously get rid of Matt Patricia, that certified fucking stooge. They bring in Bill O'Brien to be their offensive coordinator. So I think Ramondre Stevenson should be great. Nick Chubb should be great, as per usual. I think Josh Jacobs probably has the highest upside of those guys. But Ramondre Stevenson's sneaky good at catching passes as well. 69 receptions last year. Very nice. I like. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you've enjoyed thus far. Dickie Dak Prescott over here going with 9-inch Nicholas Chubb and Calvin Ridley. Looking at the tight ends, Goddard's available, but way too early for Goddard. Shit, man. You only can start 2 running backs. I feel like taking 3 is a little bit crazy, but then again, we don't really have any wide receivers I love here. I think I just start hammering wide receivers after this pick. So we're just going to go ahead and go with Najee Harris. I actually think Ramondre Stevenson is probably the safer pick here, but I know Najee Harris sucked ass last year, right? If you drafted Najee Harris, you're probably going to be watching this and be like, Nick, you're a fucking dumb piece of shit, right? You're a stooge, buffoon, but you got to look back at things, right? Najee Harris coming into the season, Liz Frank injury, plays through it, looks bad. Towards the end of the season, he starts to look a little bit better. Now, if we know anything about the Pittsburgh Steelers with Mike Tomlin not under center, I guess, as the head coach, they want to use running back by. They don't want to use running back by committee. They want to use a workhorse running back strategy. They want to use one guy, the bell cow, Le'Veon Bell, James Conner, Najee Harris, 2021. I know 2022 was a little bit disgusting, but I'm a big fan of Najee Harris. If I didn't want to go with him, The best part about this though is now I don't have to play the stupid running back roulette in the next couple of rounds. I just drafted my 3 guys, start hammering wide receivers. Probably would have gone with Mike Williams. I think Keenan Allen is on the way out, if I'm being completely honest with you. I do think Keenan Allen's really good, and the fact that he's going to be gone is going to boost Mike Williams. Mike Williams is a guy, though. Now, again, I'm not a doctor, as much of a doctor as Johnny Sins, so you can't really take this one to the bank. You can't really take this one to heart completely because, again, anything can happen. Mike Williams does kind of get banged up every single year. Christian Watson, if Aaron Rodgers stays back, is a certified fucking smash, but we have no idea what Aaron Rodgers is thinking. I'm pretty sure right now he is doing that thing where he said he was going to go sit in the darkness for 4 hours, smoke some ayahuasca or however the hell you do that. So he's a little bit of a crazy guy, but you never know. He could be back in Green Bay. I mean, the thing is, does he really want to decline the $40 million he's going to make this year? Come on, we all know he's not going to decline that. He should be back in Green Bay, I think. But you never know, because Aaron Rodgers is also crazy. So, don't want to say he's definitely out. Najee Harris, after we went with him. George Kittle, Justin Fields, DeAndre Swift, Ramondre Stevenson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Amari Cooper, and Mike Williams. I also think it's pretty important to understand in these videos that it's not necessarily the picks I'm making is why you want to watch the video. It's more about the analysis of everything that's happening in the draft as well as my thought process behind the picks. And again, things are going to change drastically from today when you're watching this all the way up until when you're doing your normal draft in August or maybe even early September. I don't know the exact date that the season's starting. Then again, the NFL season did just end. So after Amari Cooper came Mike Williams, Christian Kirk, Dalvin Cook. You like that, Kirk Cousins. The one thing about best ball drafts is the quarterbacks go so early. So early. The only quarterbacks I'd be comfortable taking in the first 5 rounds are Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Burrow. That's probably it, if I'm being honest with you. Lamar. I like Lamar, but I don't know if I take him top 5 rounds. But definitely Burrow, Josh Allen, Hurts, and Mahomes. And Burrow's kind of just barely in there, if I'm being honest with you. I think Burrow's a great player. He's probably my favorite non-Dolphin player in the NFL. I've always liked Joe Burrow since his days at LSU, but not here trying to fucking tell you something crazy. I just love Joe Burrow this year. Jackson Smith-Njigba, wide receiver out of OSU. Very funny that I was watching Part of My Take, Barstool podcast, and they were talking to Justin Fields, and Justin Fields said that's who he wants the team to draft. Obviously, because they went to college together, that would be very funny. Keenan Allen's a pretty interesting pick at this point in the draft. But again, we don't know what team he's going to be on. So it's interesting to see how things fall. I love DJ Moore. I would have loved... I've been a DJ Moore fucking cock rider over here. Metaphorical, of course. For years. I just love DJ Moore. He looked so good last year, man. I'm so excited for this season. Him and Terry McLaurin are guys I will always talk myself into because I really think they are immensely talented. Now, the question is, when we come back up to pick here, is it absurd to take Dallas Goedert ahead of a guy like Pitts or Waller? I don't think so. I do not think so. Wish we knew what team Waller was going to be on because there is talks they could be gone to Las Vegas, and of course, some motherfucker takes Josh Allen and Justin Fields and then takes my guy. Tough scene, guys. Tough scene. Just going to go best player available at this point. Look, people are to talk themselves into pits every single year. I'm not fucking doing it again. We're going Christian Watt. Fuck, man. I love Chris. We're going Chris Godwin. Can't pass on Chris Godwin. I know Brady's not back, or at least he's not supposed to be back. Would anyone be surprised if Tom Brady showed up and was the starting quarterback of the Bucs next year? Or maybe not the Bucs, but he showed up and was the NFL quarterback of some team next year. It wouldn't really surprise me. Let's hope Watson falls this far. If not, we're just going to take Keenan Allen. Get some old receivers. We got some young backs, right? Bijan's going to be a rookie. 3rd year, Najee. 5th year, Jacobs. And then we got some old head wide receivers. Oh, Christian Watson, man. He was so good. Can we really trust that that's going to happen again? Jackson Smith-Njigba is a great slot receiver, but do you really want to draft a slot receiver in the 6th round that you've never seen play in the NFL before and you don't know what team he's going to be on? I don't think so. We're going to go Christian Watson. Christian Watson feels basically definition of boom or bust, at least in my mind right now. He could have Aaron Rodgers, and he could put up a year like last year where he was super hot at the end of the season, but maybe he does it all year. Probably not going to be scoring as many touchdowns, though, because if you guys remember, there was a decent stretch of last season where this guy was scoring a fucking touchdown every single game, multiple touchdowns even in some games. He was on fire. He was one of my favorite plays every single week, and even when he cooled down, I was basically like, fuck it, dude. Am I really going to sit this guy who is that good? The answer was no. So I like Christian Watson a ton. Dameon Pierce going at the 604. I love Dameon Pierce, the player. Don't be surprised at all if the Houston Texans draft Bijan Robinson and then Dameon Pierce is absolutely useless. So while I typically hate going running backs early, I feel like now I have zero pressure, right? I like Alvin Kamara. He's going to probably get suspended, though. Let's talk about maybe the Ravens drafting Bijan Robinson. I think that there are some great value picks here in the 6th, 7th, 8th round at running back, but you know, it's before the NFL. I think A.J. Dillon's probably the best pick in this late round stretch at running back because, let's be honest, I really don't think Aaron Jones is going to be back, if I'm being honest with you, next year. And I think if you can get him without Aaron Jones, I mean, the upside is really, really big. So let's see here. Scroll down a little bit. I know I am blocking part of the round, so we'll just show the last round here. I've done with Watson, Cam Akers, Dameon Pierce, Jerry Jeudy, Isaiah Pacheco, Drake London, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. Isaiah Pacheco ran hard. He ran rock hard Viagra style all over that Philadelphia defense. Very impressive performance out of him. I think he's earned his spot inside of the 6th, 5th round fantasy drafts, and I wouldn't even be surprised if his hype train got so high next year that people are talking themselves into drafting him in the 4th round. Wouldn't really surprise me. Watson in the 6th, that reeks. Now, I think Watson's going to be playing much better in 2023, but I don't know, man. I'd rather have Tua than him. Definitely would. I think a lot of people are going to be so burnt by Russell Wilson from last season that they're not going to want to touch him, and I think that Russell Wilson has the upside to smash in fantasy. If any coach could take a short quarterback out of the deep depths of fucking hell. This guy was sent to the deep pits of hell last year with Nathaniel Hackett as the coach of the team, and now he's going to be resurrected in 2023. Now, I was a big Russell Wilson, let's ride, last year, right? If you guys remember watching a lot of the videos, I was banging the fucking drum. I was like, all right, Russ, Judy, Sutton. They didn't have Noah Fant, but they had Albert Aquabottom. I was like, yes. They have Javonte Williams. They have Melvin Gordon. Yes, yes, yes. Like that WWE guy. I don't know what his name is, but he says yes, yes, yes. That's what I was doing. And it was wrong, but we shall see. There's no way Kyle Pitts is making it to the 7th round in fantasy drafts. I'm just telling you, I know people got butt-fucked by Kyle Pitts, sodomized 50 Shades of Grey style, but there are going to be so many people that do this mental gymnastics, that talk themselves into Kyle Pitts again. Oh, Kyle Pitts had 2 shit years in the NFL, but he's back! He's gonna be so good! And look, I don't disagree that he's not a decent pick in the 7th round. The 7th round, fuck it. I'll take him, but do I think that he's this smash pick? I don't know. I do not know. So where we're sitting here, we got Hurts, Bijan, Josh Jacobs, Najee, Chris Godwin, and Christian Watson. This is a 3 wide receiver league, so we're going to have to load up on some wide receivers. Pretty interesting draft so far. I don't really think we've seen any crazy picks. I love Deontay Johnson in the 7th round, but I'm also one of those Deontay Johnson stans, and maybe I'm just wrong here. Maybe I'm just wrong. I hate Pickens in this round. I think this is a big reach. I still think Deontay Johnson is that guy. I would have loved to get Jameson Williams. Oh, man. I think Jameson Williams is going to have a great 2023 season. Tight ends are getting a little gross. Schultz is not going to be on the Cowboys. I hope he goes to the Dolphins as a Dolphins fan. Pickens is gross. Okay. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do myself in again. I'm going to talk myself into the Broncos again. It's so fucking gross, but I really think Courtland Sutton could do it. I really think so. Now, depending on where Jordan Addison or Quentin Johnson get drafted, they could be immense steals in the 7th round, or I could look like an idiot. If you draft Kadarius Toney in the 9th or 10th round, you are a crazy person, in my opinion. There's no way in fuck I'm doing that. It's a little too early for Schultz. I really like Gesicki this year because he's going to be off the Dolphins, and there'll be a team that actually wants to use him. Pickens could be really good. I just don't just don't know if he is that guy. Burks could be good, but they don't have a quarterback. It's tough. It's tough. There's no way I'm taking Bateman. Oh, Dotson. Dotson. Oh, man. Where to go, Dotson? If Dotson has a good quarterback next year, Dotson's a fucking steal. This guy had so many great games last year. I know he was banged up. I know the quarterback play wasn't great, but if they get a quarterback, man, I could really sell myself on Dotson in the 5th round. I like Brandon Cooks in the 8th round as well, especially if he's on a team that isn't dog shit. Now, this guy with the 3 quarterback, 1 running back, 3 receivers, and a tight end strategy. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. That's no reason to do that. Kyler's going to be an interesting player to discuss, though, as we get closer and closer to August, because based upon what I've read, it really doesn't seem like Kyler is going to be back early enough for fantasy. Like, the reports are like he's going to be back in, like, the 6th, 7th week of the season. Now, that's right now. It's February, right? Things are going to change. Maybe he gets accelerated up to a 3-week absence, right? But even at that case, like, what's the price you feel comfortable taking Kyler at? Because where did Kyler go? Kyler. In the 5th round. Like, if he misses 6 games, there's no way I'm taking Kyler anywhere near there. There's just no way. I think that's crazy. I think that's a little bit crazy. We already have 3 running backs. I would like to get A.J. Dillon with our next pick, but I think that would just be dumb since we already have Bajan, Jacobs, and Harris. And if one of them gets hurt, we still have 2. Obviously, if there's a lot of injuries, you're probably fucked anyways, because in these best ball drafts, there's no waiver wire. I'm just drafting the team, setting it, forgetting it. And that's my favorite part about best ball, honestly, is the fact that I can draft this team, never think about it again, come back in January, I guess, and then bang, I might have won some money, might have not won anything, but at least I had fun doing it. I mean, that's why I really like these things, because it's a little bit more accurate than a regular fantasy, than a mock draft, right? Because when you do a mock draft, you're sitting there either against the computer or you're drafting against a bunch of fucking guys that don't actually understand fantasy football, and then they'll leave minutes in. So I think this is a pretty good way to do things. Pretty fun draft so far. Now, normally, if I draft Jalen Hurts, why would I ever draft a backup quarterback, right? I have my guy. If Hurts gets hurt, then we're going to have to pick someone up off the waiver wire. But that's not how this works. This is a 20-round draft, so people are definitely going to draft 2 quarterbacks. People are going to draft 3 quarterbacks. And when Hurts is on bye, we need someone to play, because the way that this works is that the weeks, I believe it's 1 through 14 is the regular season, and then you get into the quarterfinals if you are either number 1 or number 2, top 2 team, I believe. If it's not like that, that's just top 1, and then you move on to the quarterfinals, the semifinals, the finals. So you want to make sure that you get in there, and the reason why you might not get in there is because maybe you only have 1 quarterback and you take a 0 one week. You don't want to be doing that. I don't want anything to do with Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance might not even be the starting quarterback of the 49ers next year. Call me crazy. Call me crazy if you want, but I don't think that he's a lock to be the starting quarterback next year. I think it could easily be Big Cock Brock. Now, Cock Brock did get hurt in that NFC Championship game. I think if he doesn't get hurt, now I don't think they beat the Eagles. They could have, but I think it would have been a much closer game. And that would have really pushed Trey Lance back. Kadarius Toney in the 9th round is just fucking absurd. Nick, he scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl. I know, but the guy can't stay healthy to save his fucking life. To save his life. You remember when we all picked him up last year in fantasy football and then he didn't do shit? Exactly. So we need some tight ends here. The boy Chig was amazing last year. I just don't see that paying out again. Oh, Jesus Christ. My ice from my drink scared the fuck out of me. I thought there was a spooky ghost in my room. Damn it. Someone took Russ. There's no way Aaron Rodgers is going to retire. He's just going to go to a different team. Bryce Young could be really good, depending what team he goes to and how much he starts. I think we're just going to go Rodgers. I'm going to go Rodgers and the tight end. I think we'll take the tight end first. Oh, this guy only has 1 quarterback, though. I'm going to talk myself into Dawson Knox yet again. I think he's just too good. He got paid all the money. I know he didn't have a great season, but if you're drafting tight end late in the draft, you're not going to have the pick of the litter, right? It's not like I'm sitting here like, ooh. Like, this is like some high round pick. This is a 9th, 10th round pick. All right, that guy took. All right, so we have to take Rodgers, right? We're not chancing this shit and ending up with like Stafford or Carr or something. Stroud could be good. Again, just depends what team he's on. I think Mac Jones is pretty underrated. I don't think Mac Jones is a good quarterback at all, but I think that the fact that Matt Patricia is such a fucking idiot that, like, if Bill O'Brien somehow pushed him to being quarterback 15 in fantasy football, like, he could have some games where he's like top 5 and maybe enters your line. But again, he's going so late that I think that could really sway me. So let's hope here we can get Dawson Knox. I think Cole Kmet's a fine prize as well if we can't get Knox. I think they're pretty similar. Pretty similar in my opinion. Let's go Knox. But yeah, if you wanted to go Kmet, Greg Dulcich pretty interesting as well. This draft's been pretty fun. We don't really have any stacks though. We have the Green Bay stack, I guess, if Rodgers stays there. We don't have anyone from Philly, but I don't think you necessarily need to focus too much on stacks, especially when you have Hurts. And it's an early draft. During the late drafts, like when we're sitting there in fucking July and I'm firing off a million of these drafts, that's when we're going to have to start doing that. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video this far. I know I haven't been posting much recently. It's not that I don't have any motivation to post. It's just that when I do make a video and it takes me hours to make. Now this doesn't. Let's just keep it real. It's going to be however long this video is, however long I sat here for. So look, it's not like this takes some crazy amount of time. But when I do something where I do some crazy in-depth breakdown on these running backs, receivers, and gets like 400 views, it's like, was that worth 5 hours of my time? No, it wasn't. And I like making videos, so you're going to see those videos. But it's just right now it is kind of hard to get super into things, especially with the season just ending. The XFL starts soon. I'm pretty excited for that because I just love watching football. Stafford, dude, I don't know about Stafford, man. He did not look the same last year. Maybe he's still good and I'm just dumb, but I think there's a chance he ends up being pretty bad again. The Rams. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Entering the part in the draft where there's going to be a lot of rookies, which makes sense. And when it comes to rookie wide receivers, you can almost know nothing about them. And if you just take one in the 11th or 12th round, you could end up with a guy like Zay Flowers, for instance, could end up being 8th round pick, like getting a 3-round discount. So again, I'm not saying that these are guys that are must drafts, but you could see that. Bateman, dude, if he's healthy, I mean, like the Ravens just suck at bringing in receivers. So even if Bateman isn't amazing this year, like even if he doesn't have a humongous year, like he really is the only, there's not really many weapons there. So like in the 10th round, like I'd really talk myself in him. I love Khalil Herbert because I don't think David Montgomery's going to be back. But again, we already have 3 running backs that I like, so I'm not really about to sit here and go crazy spamming them until we get to a point where I feel like we need to start drafting more, because there is a point where it's like, are these guys ever even going to play a snap in the fucking season? Darnell Mooney, I love Darnell Mooney, but I'm not drafting him. I hope Treylon falls to us, because I really like Treylon. I think Zay Jones is interesting, but they have a lot of receivers now, right? Because Calvin Ridley's going to be back. They already have Zay Jones. They have, Christian Kirk. His name was escaping me. They have Christian Kirk. A lot of options there. Michael Thomas. Every year I try to talk myself into Michael Thomas. I frankly don't think I should do that this year. I don't think that. But man, oh man, if he plays like we saw last year, you see those games where he scores like 30 points, and it makes me think like, geez, why did I not draft him? I don't know, man. I don't think I'm gonna do it again. I think we do need another tight end though, because things are going to get brutal at tight end. Actually, yeah, we're probably gonna need to draft 3 because it is 20 rounds. I fucking hate Taysom Hill. I think Gerald Everett, but we're gonna take Taysom Hill because Taysom Hill, like, even if he does nothing, I feel like he might be worth an 11th round pick. Even if he does absolutely nothing, because of the upside that he has to just play quarterback for some reason for the team. A lot of people have just one tight end. And then I want to get Gesicki later. Again, the Dolphins didn't throw him the ball. He had 73 receptions, 112 targets in 2021. On any team that wants to use him, he will feast. So I'm pretty confident in that take. Pretty confident in that. Let's go Taysom Hill. Zach Ertz is disgusting. Disgusting. He is way too old. Way too old, in my opinion, to be taking at that spot. I think. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just how I feel. All right, so we're up here. We're going to go rookie. We're going Josh Downs. Josh Downs is a wide receiver for UNC, or the Tar Heels, as they call him. I have seen him play before. Thought he was pretty good. I don't necessarily think he is the most amazing wide receiver in this draft, but I think in the 12th round, just taking a shot on a guy like that, who I think has some upside, is worth it. Like, we have Godwin, who's old. We have Sutton. So let's get some youth on this team, right? Let's get some Josh Downs, some Jahan Dotson, some Christian Watson. We got the young running backs, too. Young quarterback, and then that old bastard Aaron Rodgers. Our tight ends are pretty old, but a lot of tight ends in the NFL are old. I think Michael Mayer is going to be one of the most overdrafted. Did he get picked already? Fuck is his name? Is it Mayer, actually? Am I dumb? His last name Mayer? Yeah, it's Michael Mayer. I called him Michael Mayer. Fucking stabby guy. From what I've read, now again, I'm not some college football expert just yet. I'm going to go ahead and watch the tape but of a lot of these players, but he's really good at blocking. So, and people are really talking him up. I don't know. I don't know if he's worth where people are going to ride him up to. Like, is he going to be worth that 12th round pick if he's out there blocking a bunch? Now, obviously, if he lands in some perfect situation, then maybe he will certifiably feast. But again, I don't know. That's why doing these drafts before the NFL draft is even more interesting, right? Because if we're looking back in April and Josh Downs looks like he's the number 2 receiver on a team that looks amazing. Like, imagine he goes to the Jets, and the Jets starting quarterback is Rodgers. And it's Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Downs. Or he goes to another great situation, and he feasts. Like, you could see that. Maybe he goes to a shit situation. It's like, wow, Nick, you drafted him in the 11th round. Or the 12th round. He's a fucking 16th round pick. It is what it is, right? That's just the risk you take in drafting so early. I think Wan'Dale Robinson could be a good pick in the 13th round. The Giants don't really have a lot of wide receiver weapons. They drafted him highly for a reason. Who knows? Maybe he ends up being a schlub, but I think that's a decent pick. Kareem Hunt, we don't know what team he's going to be on. He could land in a good spot. We already have 3 running backs, though, so I think just taking another running back here is kind of a little bit foolish. Last year, I really talked myself into Devin Singletary. He ended up not being a bust necessarily, but he just wasn't great. Like, you never in redraft fantasy were sitting down and you were like, thank God I drafted fucking Devin Singletary. You're like, oh, it's a good thing I have Devin Singletary on my bench so I could play him because my other running back got hurt. But if this guy doesn't come back soon, I'm probably fucked because Devin Singletary is not that great. Sean Tucker, I believe that's his name. Sean Tucker, yes, look at that. Pickett is kind of interesting as well, but, you know, we already have 2 good quarterbacks, so we don't need another one. We definitely do need another tight end, though. I'm not leaving this fucking draft with 2 tight ends, them being Dawson Knox and Taysom Hill. I hope Gesicki goes to a good spot because I could see 100+ targets. Gesicki's so good. I'm mad that the Dolphins don't use him correctly, but he doesn't fit the Mike McDaniel scheme. I understand that. Mike McDaniel wants a guy who can block. Mike Gesicki is about as useful at blocking as a fucking torn condom, a broken condom. So I think Gesicki's going to be just fine wherever he lands, though. So, all right. So we're going to draft more. We need more. We don't need another. Like, we need to get at least another running back or 2, but we don't necessarily need to scream to the mountaintop that we need one. Problem is no one going to take another tight end? This guy only has none, so he's definitely going to. That guy's 1. Yes, we're definitely going to have to take another one before things swing back around, because if we don't take one, then someone's definitely going to take one. So please don't take Gesicki. We want Gesicki. Mike Licky on my Gesicki on. You know what's interesting about this video is we did it all in one take Drake. Just straight talking for like fucking, it's been, what, 40 minutes at this point? Now, obviously, if I do these in the future, some people might want me to cut it up a little bit more, so it's only like 30 minutes, but I don't know, I just like rambling, talking about, I really do enjoy talking. Obviously, I like to talk a bunch, that's why I fucking do this job, so. Please don't take a 4th tight end, you cocksucker, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Ooh, dude, Odell. All right, we're taking him here. Taking my boy Mike Licky-Amagasicki. Oh, then we're going to go receiver. Odell. Oh, MVS got taken. I think MVS might be back on the Chiefs next year. Thielen, probably going to be off Minnesota, but could be a valuable piece. Real gritty guy. Julian Edelman-esque. Ooh, Gallup. Fuck, dude. If Odell, it felt like Odell was going to come back this year, but everything I read afterwards was like these doctors being like, oh, dude, Odell was never going to be good enough in time to come back. And then meanwhile, these bastards were telling us that he was going to come back. If he comes back and lights it up, oh man, it is late. It is late enough to where I could do that, but Robinson could be Wandale, could be the #1 receiver on the Giants. Fuck it, dude. We're going Wandale Robinson, baby. It was close. I like Alec Pierce as well. This round of wide receiver is pretty interesting. We could see Sky Moore take a huge leap in 2023. Didn't do much his rookie year. 32 fantasy points. A lot of people liked him. He kind of just got lost in, like, the fact that they brought in Tony didn't help him. He just got kind of lost in the herd of that team. But who knows? We could see him bounce back this year. Not really bounce back because he wasn't given too much of a great position. DJ Chark's pretty interesting as an option. He won't be on the Lions, I wouldn't think, though. Mechie. Now, Mechie was a guy I really liked last year. Obviously, going into the season, terrible what happened to him. I'm glad he's okay. They're saying he's going to be good to go for this season. He was a guy that I liked a lot last year. I really liked him. Great speed, great receiver. Looked amazing in college. We haven't seen him play at the NFL level yet, but I think Mechie might end up being a fucking steal here if we can get him. So I think a lot of people are very quick to forget certain players, right? They have their mind. It's like, oh, you're sitting here at pick 178. I remember Odell. Drafts Odell. I remember Adam Thielen or Chase Claypool, and instead you can go for the young gun. Now, maybe Mechie ends up being a bust in the NFL, but we haven't seen anything, so I don't think anyone could even say something like that. I think Mechie's ADP is going to move up a ton. He's a great player. I think we're in a pretty good spot here. We are going to have to draft other running backs, though, because let's be honest, we can't fucking leave this draft with 3 running backs. We're going to have to get another one. McKinnon's just going to show up at the end of the season. I don't really think he is all that special of a guy. Tank Bigsby really interests me because I think that he could end up being just one of those guys that, not like Jamal Williams, because Jamal Williams scored so many touchdowns, but it wouldn't surprise me at the end of the season if we're sitting there and this Tank Bigsby bastard has 8 touchdowns. And then the lead running back on the team has 7. And you're like, oh. Say that P. Ryan always gets usage as it gets closer to the playoffs. So I think P. Ryan could also be an interesting play here late on in the draft. I mean, let's be honest. We're hoping to get carried by Bijan, Josh Jacobs, and Najee Harris. When we draft John Mechie, we're hoping that Mechie really has an excellent year, right? Whereas when we draft Samaje P. Ryan or Tank Bigsby, we're not we need this guy to be amazing, right? Because we're hoping that Jacobs and Bijan get it done, right? These receivers are guys that might crack the lineup a bunch of times, right? We're hoping that these guys hit. We're hoping. I'm definitely taking Mechie. I think Tyquan Thornton's pretty interesting as well, but we're definitely going Mechie. Rashid Shaheed had a couple of good games, but let's be honest, taking him in this kind of a draft is a little bit crazy. All right. Let's see how things go. We're still 6 picks away. At this point in the draft, ADP really doesn't matter in my opinion. If you like a guy, just take him. That's really kind of just my opinion on things. In these kind of 20-round drafts, you don't want to be kicking yourself because you didn't take the guy you wanted because of ADP, and then you come back in the next round, he's not there, and you're like, fuck, I should have just taken him. So that's what we're going to do here with Mechie. We want Mechie. We're taking him. Then here, we're just going to take, I think, Jeff Wilson. Look, I don't think Jeff Wilson is necessarily going to be a Dolphin, but I think Jeff Wilson's going to be on a team next year. He's going to get touches. And that's what you're hoping for. That's what you're hoping for this late in the draft, right? Most redraft leagues, you're not in round 16, right? You don't make it this far. And even most best ball drafts go to just 18 rounds. These early ones go 20 rounds deep because, there's some unknown, right? I could draft one of these players and they end up fucking tearing their ACL before the season even starts, and you're like, shit. But I think our team composition's really good. 2 great quarterbacks. Obviously, Hurts, who's amazing, and then Rodgers, who had a down year, but could be good. Some stud running backs, and then you kind of just, Jeff Wilson. And then you got a lot of receivers that have some high upside, pretty young guys, mixed with 2. I wouldn't say Sutton's necessarily an old guy, but Godwin definitely is an older guy. And then the tight ends, you're just kind of throwing shit at the wall. You're hoping every week one of these guys hits. And the best part about this is in redraft, I know when you leave the draft and you have Dawson Knox and Mike Gesicki, you're fucking kicking yourself directly in the cock. But in a best ball league, you draft them. You don't have to actually figure out, this is the week you need to start Taysom Hill, or this is the week you need to start Knox. You don't have to worry about that. And that's the fun part about it. Now, I know during the season, in-season management's important, and that's how you can win leagues through the waiver wire and stuff. But look, I can do 150 best ball drafts, and you don't have to look at the waiver wire. Like, there's no way I'm playing in 100 regular redraft leagues. I play in, 6, and even that's too much. It's a lot of thinking every single day, looking at your lineup, and you're going to make wrong decisions. It's a little tough for me. Now, I know some people, they can juggle around fucking 25 fantasy leagues. I just can't do it. My least favorite part of the season, early on, everything's fun. Everything's all fine and dandy. Oh, the waiver wire is so exciting, this, that, and the other thing. And I like making the waiver wire videos. I just hate sitting there on Tuesday night, sitting there, and then out of nowhere, it just hits me. It's always later on in the season when I'm sitting down in my bed. I'm like, oh, man, I had a great day. Did all this. Go lay down. And then it hits you. You're like about to fall asleep. You're like, oh, let me go take a piss. And then it hits you. Shit, I didn't do my waivers. And then you have to go sit on your computer like an asshole and do them. That always happens to me. Maybe I'm just a buffoon. But it happens to me all the time later on in the season. And I'm like, shit. And then I'm just sitting there for roughly an hour doing those things. All right. Let's see here. If you've watched this for 45 minutes, comment... Let's see. Comment Mechie in the comment section. Because look, if you made it 45 minutes in this video, you're a goat. You're amazing. I really appreciate you. There's no reason you need to be watching this much of the video. I'm just kidding, obviously. It's a great time. I just enjoy talking about football, so any long-form video, even if I get off on a tangent like we just were before, right? Where I was talking about how sometimes I'm trying to sleep and then the waiver wire creeps up on you. Will Levis, this is a guy that people are going to love come April. Come April, people are going to be slobbering on this guy's knob. Same thing with this guy. His name is Anthony Richardson. I don't know where he's getting drafted. Anthony Richardson, out of Florida. This guy's going to look amazing in shorts. He's going to throw fucking missiles, bombs. He's going to look amazing, and then he's going to play in the NFL. He's going to suck. I think the same thing might happen with Levis. Now, again, we don't know their landing spot, so maybe they land in the perfect situation, and it all works out, but... wouldn't surprise me. I'd like to see Richardson, though, because he does have some raw talent. Like, if he went to the Giants and, sat behind Daniel Jones, and then, boom, 2024, they get rid of Daniel Jones, and bam! Anthony Richardson's, amazing. That wouldn't surprise me, because, look, Daniel Jones isn't very good. He did step up this year. I'll give it to him, right? He wasn't dog shit this year, but I don't think he's some special quarterback. Now, I'm glad we already got 2 quarterbacks that I like, because if you're at this point in the draft and you're just drafting these guys, now I could see drafting, any of these guys, right, and they end up playing, a game or 2. But when you already have Rodgers and Hurts, there's really just no reason to do that. Unless Rodgers retires, but I'd be shocked if that happened. I'd be perplexed if I come back on late in August, it's oh, Rodgers retired, right? No one's going to see that coming. Fucking RKO from Randy Orton. All right, we need some more receivers here. Dude, Allen Robinson, I fucking hate Allen Robinson. I talked myself into him last year, and he absolutely sucked. And now that I say that, now he's going to, come out next year and ball. But he was so bad. There's no reason to believe in him again, let's be honest. These are all guys that are just schlubs. I think McKenzie, even though they brought Devontae Parker, sneaky pick late. Even though Khalil Shakir is there, I'm going with McKenzie. I still think McKenzie has some gas in the tank. We are so late here that I'm just going to scroll down to see if there's guys I like. Let's see here. Justin Watson.
Juwan Jennings, Justin Ross. Justin Ross, a guy I liked last year, but he didn't have a plan. Marcus Robinson, Olabide Zacchaeus, Braxton Berrios, my guy Jalen Tolbert, Julio. Fuck, man. We're just going to go running back. Let's go Chuba. Let's go Chuba, man. I could see Chuba getting a couple of carries next year, falling himself into the end zone. It's really all you're asking for here. We got our solid running backs. Just asking for some help. That maybe one of these guys has a great game if someone shits the bed. We're just going to fast forward to our next 2 picks, though, because at this point, the video is way too long. All right, so we are back up on the clock here. Again, we're just going to try to select players that are going to touch the field at this point. Pure strong. Let's just go with Rashawn Johnson here, and then we are going to just go with another receiver. So we got 6 running backs. I think that's fine here, and then we're going to go receiver. Corey Davis, sneaky, going to be getting the ball a decent amount, but not a guy I'm super interested in. I think David Bell. David Bell didn't do shit last year, but he is young. Second-year receiver. Could be good. Probably the 3rd best option on Cleveland. Let's go with him. And that just about does it. Our team, to recap, is Jalen Hurts, Aaron Rodgers. Our running backs are Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs, Najee Harris, Jeff Wilson, Chuba Hubbard, and Rashawn Johnson. Our receivers are Chris Godwin, Christian Watson, Cortland Sutton, Jahan Dotson, Josh Downs, Wan'Dale Robinson, John Mechie, Isaiah McKenzie, and David Bell. Our tight ends are Dawson Knox, Taysom Hill, and Mike Licky Amagasicki. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Again, if you did end up enjoying, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, as well as hitting that like button. It would help me out a ton. If you want to check out Underdog, link in the video description. I love you guys all so much. Have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, good